Okay, so I am here today. I have my million drinks. I feel like a true podcaster today. I just want to say the fact that there's landscaping going on right now on the day when I decided to literally film 3 long form videos. I truly apologize if you can hear the landscaping going on in the background. Something that I will just brag about is that I don't think anyone has luck quite like me. So you guys have no idea. Like, I am literally about to go down the longest rabbit hole about feminine hygiene and just like why you smell. So this laptop is needed to be right in front of me. If you feel like you are doing everything right, you're showering, scrubbing, spraying, deodorant, wipes, and yet you still catch a whiff halfway through the day and you wonder, why do I smell like shit? This video is literally about to save your life and your social life, because here's the truth, okay? The feminine hygiene industry has convinced you that your natural body is disgusting, and they have built a billion-dollar empire selling you products that not only fail to fix odor, but often make it actually worse. Then they have the audacity to act like they are helping you. So just think about it for a second. You shower, you use deodorant, maybe even buy those special soaps or wipes, and you still smell. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why? Have you ever considered that maybe the problem is not you? By the time we're done, you're going to understand exactly why odor happens, how your body's natural bacteria and chemistry play a role, and why the majority of products in your bathroom are sabotaging you instead of helping. And most importantly, what actually works, backed by peer-reviewed science. I am not a doctor. I am not your doctor, and I don't pretend to be. Everything I am sharing in this video is based on scientific research that I have linked in the description, along with my own experience and hours, literally hours of reading peer-reviewed studies, so you don't have to. This is for informational purposes only. It is not diagnosis. It is not treatment, not medical advice. Always talk to your doctor if you have serious concerns. Cool. So I'm going to be clear here. I am not here to blow smoke or coddle you. I am not here to repeat what a blog post influencer told you. Not even doctors get into this level of detail, because medical training spends very little time on the skin microbiome or vaginal ecology. So if your doctor shrugged off your odor complaints, it's not necessarily your fault. They may just not have been taught the mechanisms either. You are not broken. You are not dirty. You are not defective. You have been lied to by an industry that profits off of your shame. And once you understand what is actually happening inside your body at the bacterial, chemical, and hormonal level, you're going to realize that you never actually needed half those products in the first place. I am Audrey Victoria, and this is the comprehensive, science-backed breakdown that the feminine hygiene industry truly hopes that you never see. So let's start with the elephant in the room: vaginal odor. This is the part that no one wants to talk about, so women are left guessing, Googling, buying products that only make it worse. And here's the real science, okay? Your vagina has its own ecosystem, a microbiome, okay? So in a healthy state, it is dominated by lactobacillus species. These bacteria are your body's built-in defense system. So they take glycogen, which is a natural sugar stored in your vaginal lining, and they ferment it into lactic acid, which keeps your vaginal pH low, which is usually around 3.8 to 4.5, which is acidic enough to keep harmful microbes in check. When lactobacillus levels are high, odor is not an issue, but when they drop from antibiotics, new sexual partners, douching, hormonal shifts, stress, other bacteria take over. And these are not just random bacteria. They are specific species linked directly to odor. The main culprits: Gardnerella vaginalis, Prevotella, Adaponium vaginae, Megasphaera, and Snethia. When these bacteria overgrow, they produce compounds called biogenic amines, and these chemicals smell exactly like what they are named after: trimethylamine, fishy, putrescine, rotting meat, cadaverine, decaying flesh. So that is why bacterial vaginosis, or BV, has that unforgettable odor. Saying it like it's amazing, but like it's disgusting. Once these bacteria build biofilms, which are protective layers that help them stick to your vaginal walls, they become extremely hard to get rid of. Antibiotics can knock them down, but they often come back because the biofilm protects a reservoir of odor-causing bacteria. That is why so many women get BV, treat it, and then it returns within weeks. Now contrast that with Lactobacillus crispatus or Lactobacillus ginsenii. These are the superheroes of vaginal health. They pump out lactic acid and hydrogen peroxide, keeping pH low and hostile to pathogens while not harming you. A vagina rich in these bacteria does not smell fishy. It smells basically like nothing. So when people ask, why does my vagina smell? The answer isn't that you're dirty. It's that the balance of bacteria has shifted. Low lactobacilli, high anaerobes, higher pH, boom, odor. Add in factors like blood during your period, which is alkaline, or harsh soaps that strip good bacteria, and odor-causing microbes get an open invitation to thrive. And yes, okay, gynecologists do know about BV, but most are not going to walk you through the metabolic pathways. They will diagnose, they'll prescribe you something, and then send you home. But unless you also restore your lactobacilli, you are stuck in that cycle. Antibiotics, temporary relief, and relapse. Okay, so here's what the research actually shows. The healthiest vaginal microbiomes are the ones with one dominant lactobacillus species. So women with mixed communities, meaning lots of different bacteria all competing, are the ones most likely to report odor. And this is not just about BV, okay? So odor shifts can happen with hormone changes as well. During ovulation, estrogen increases glycogen in the vaginal lining, which gives lactobacilli more fuel. And that is why a lot of women feel like they smell cleaner or sweeter mid-cycle. And then during menstruation, blood raises vaginal pH, which lowers protection, and odor is more likely. So if you smell fishy, putrid, or sour, it's not about hygiene, it's about microbiome imbalance. If you smell metallic during your period, that is just literally blood, which is totally normal. Understanding the context is literally everything. The bottom line is that vaginal odor is chemistry. Too little lactobacillus, too much anaerobic growth, pH rising above 4.5, that's when odor compounds form. And then throwing fragrance soaps, wipes, or sprays at the problem does not fix it. It usually strips your defenses and makes the imbalance even worse. So if you have ever been embarrassed by odor, stop blaming yourself, because this is not about being dirty. It's about an ecosystem that is literally out of balance, and the fix is not scrubbing harder. It is supporting the good bacteria that's supposed to protect you. Now we're going to talk about body odor, okay? And why deodorant is not the magic fix that you have been told it is. Because the truth is, most of what makes you smell does not come from sweat itself. It comes from what bacteria do with that sweat, okay? It is fascinating. So here's how it works. You have two main types of sweat glands. Eccrine glands, which are all over your body, they produce mostly water and salt. That kind of sweat doesn't really smell. The smell comes from apocrine glands, which are concentrated in your armpits, groin, around the nipples, and behind your ears. These glands produce sweat that is full of proteins and fats, basically food for bacteria. And when bacteria on your skin break those compounds down, they release volatile molecules. Things like isovaleric acid, which smells like literal smelly feet, or 3-methyl-2 hexanomic acid, which gives that sharp, sour armpit smell. Without bacteria, your sweat would not really stink. So odor is bacteria plus sweat, not sweat alone. Okay, so who are the main offenders? The biggest culprits are bacteria like coronine bacteria, Staphylococcus hominis, and cutibacteria. These are normal skin residents, but when they overgrow, the smell is very strong. The interesting part is that different people have different microbiomes, and that is why some people barely smell even without deodorant, while others can shower twice a day and still feel like they smell like shit. And here's where deodorant and antiperspirant come in. So deodorants contain antimicrobials and fragrances to cover odor, and antiperspirants go further than that. So they use aluminum salts to temporarily block sweat glands, so less apocrine sweat reaches the actual surface, and that means less food for bacteria and usually less odor. Now, here's the nuance, okay? So antiperspirants don't ruin your microbiome forever, and aluminum is not proven to build up in your brain or cause cancer. That is internet fear-mongering, but research does show when you stop using them, your microbiome shifts for a few weeks. Some people notice that they smell worse during that adjustment period because the bacterial balance is recalibrating. So if you have ever tried to detox from deodorant and thought, I smell like shit, that is not toxins leaving your body. That is your skin bacteria adapting to more sweat being available again. It usually balances out in about 2 to 4 weeks if you stay off antiperspirants. Honestly, you don't have to do that though, okay? I'm not gonna tell you to do that when you just don't have to. A genetic variant in the ABCC11 gene found in a lot of East Asian populations makes apocrine sweat populations different, so odor-causing bacteria don't grow as well. And studies show that many women with this gene don't develop underarm odor at all, and some don't even need deodorant. It is a reminder that smelling bad isn't a universal female destiny. It is microbiology plus genetics. Your hormones also play a role. So during ovulation, estrogen is higher, which actually promotes more lactobacillus on your skin, and your natural scent tends to be milder, even attractive to potential partners. But during the luteal phase, progesterone rises and your skin becomes slightly more alkaline, and odor-causing bacteria grow more easily. That's why you might feel smellier before or during your period. It's not in your head, it is literally biology. And then stress sweat adds another layer. So apocrine glands are directly wired to your sympathetic nervous system, and that is why stress sweat is different from exercise sweat. Stress sweat has more proteins than exercise sweat, and bacteria love it, which is why it smells stronger and sharper and why it's harder to mask. And yes, diet matters, okay? Foods with sulfur compounds, garlic, onions, broccoli, Brussels sprouts can be metabolized and come out in your sweat. Same with spices like curry and cumin, but that doesn't mean that those foods are bad. That just means that your sweat reflects what you eat. So if you notice consistent odor linked to food, that is why. On the flip side, there's some evidence that plant-rich diets with more chlorophyll-containing foods like leafy greens may make body odor milder, and heavily processed high-sugar diets, those actually tend to shift your diets more towards odor-causing bacteria. Again, not hygiene, but chemistry. Okay, so what actually works? If you are prone to odor, daily washing with plain soap and water under the arms is literally enough. Don't over scrub because stripping skin oils can actually backfire, and switching to moisture wicking fabrics can help because synthetic fabrics like polyester actually trap sweat and bacteria. Cotton and merino wool let skin breathe and reduce bacterial buildup. For deodorant, the choice is literally personal, okay? If you want less sweating, antiperspirants with aluminum salts are effective and they're safe. If you would rather avoid aluminum, you can use deodorants that neutralize odor with baking soda, magnesium, or zinc salts. Just don't fall for the myth that one product is detoxifying you or purging toxins. That's bullshit, okay? Another option that's getting more research is probiotic skincare. Some products now include live or fermented bacteria extracts that might actually help restore a balanced skin microbiome. It's not mainstream yet, but early studies suggest that it might help people who struggle with stubborn odor. The bottom line is that body odor is not proof you're dirty. It is sweat plus bacteria plus environment. Deodorant covers the smell, antiperspirant reduces sweat, and lifestyle factors like stress, hormones, and diet shape the rest. The trick is not masking everything, it is understanding what is happening so that you can work with your body instead of against it. If you feel like you've tried everything and you still smell, the problem isn't you, it is the ecosystem on your skin. And with the right approach, fabrics, washing, product choice, patience, you can shift the balance and finally feel in control of your scent. Okay, so let's get brutally honest about period odor because this is the one topic that no one explains clearly. Not your doctor, not the pad companies, not even your health class. Okay, so here's the truth. Fresh menstrual blood does not smell bad. Fresh blood has very little odor because it hasn't interacted with air or bacteria yet. The metallic scent that you notice at the start of your period is literally just iron from hemoglobin, which which is totally normal. The odor issues start when menstrual blood sits in a low oxygen, warm environment and interacts with your vaginal bacteria. Remember that blood has a neutral pH of around 7.4. Your vagina normally stays acidic between about 3.5 to 4.5 thanks to protective lactobacillus bacteria that I talked about earlier. So actually, something interesting, when blood raises that pH, it temporarily weakens your natural defenses and gives odor-causing bacteria like Gardnerella more room to multiply. And what do those bacteria make? Compounds like trimethylamine, the classic fishy smell, putrescine and cadaverine, the same molecules released when proteins break down. That's why some people notice a sharper, sour, or putrid odor during their period, especially if there's already a slight imbalance in the vaginal microbiome. So here's the difference between normal and not normal, okay? Metallic or slightly musky smell is totally normal. Strong fishy, rotten, or garbage odor that keeps coming back each cycle, that often points to bacterial vaginosis or another imbalance altogether. Period blood does not create that smell on its own, okay? It fuels the bacteria that do. Now let's talk about menstrual products, because what you use can make odor better or worse. So tampons were the biggest culprit for odor complaints. Why? Because they absorb blood and hold it inside the vagina where there is little oxygen, and that environment favors anaerobic bacteria, the exact kind that produce strong odors. Pads, on the other hand, they keep the blood outside the body, so there's more airflow, and that means fewer anaerobic bacteria, but it also means blood sits directly against your skin where external bacteria can multiply. So that's why some people get more external odor, irritation, or skin rashes with pad use. Menstrual cups are different though. So instead of absorbing blood, they collect it. That limits how much the blood interacts with your vaginal walls, and it reduces bacterial overgrowth. And clinical studies have found that cups maintain a healthier vaginal pH than tampons, and women actually report less odor overall when using menstrual cups. Okay, so here's another important point. Leaving any product in for too long increases the odor risk. It's not because blood is dirty, it's because bacteria multiply the longer that it sits. So changing pads, tampons, or emptying a cup regularly is literally the easiest odor hack for your period that there is. And yes, of course, we have to mention toxic shock syndrome. TSS is very rare, but it is linked to certain bacteria like Staphylococcus aureus, producing toxins in the low oxygen environment created by super absorbent tampons. So that is why the official guidance is to never leave a tampon in for more than 8 hours, not just to reduce TSS risk, but also because odor and bacterial growth go hand in hand. Okay, so if you constantly notice strong odor during your period, it might not be normal period smell. It might be your body waving a red flag that your microbiome is off balance. That is a good reason, if you ask me, to talk to a doctor to ask about BV or yeast testing. Don't just mask the smell with sprays or wipes. And if your period odor is just the typical metallic or musky smell, that is totally normal. It's normal body chemistry. You don't need special soaps or douches to fix it, or scented pads. In fact, those things usually actually make it worse by wiping out your good bacteria and raising your pH even higher. Here's the science-based strategy. Change pads and tampons at least every 4 to 8 hours. Consider trying a menstrual cup if odor bothers you. Stick to external washing only. Skip the vaginal washes and sprays. You can literally just use water. If odor is strong, consistently cycle after cycle, get tested for BV, okay? It's one of the main causes of period-related odor, and it's treatable. The bottom line is that period odor is not about being dirty. It's about chemistry, okay? It's about pH shifts, bacterial balance, and product choice. And once you understand that, you're going to realize that most of what the hygiene industry sells you is literally unnecessary at best and harmful at worst. So the next time someone tries to sell you a scented pad or a vaginal wash, remember that your period odor is a science problem, not a shame problem. And you can fix it by working with your body's microbiome, not against it. Let's move to the one that haunts every gym rat: post-workout stench. Why can two women do the same workout and one smells like she just left a spa while the other one clears the room in literally 10 minutes? The answer isn't how much you sweat. It is what is in your sweat and how your skin bacteria respond to it. So sweat itself is mostly water and salt. It doesn't smell until bacteria start breaking down the proteins and lipids inside it. Here's the biology, okay? So you have two main sweat systems, as I said: endocrine glands, which cover most of your body. They release mostly water and salt for cooling. That sweat doesn't smell. Apocrine glands found in your armpits, groin, and around hair follicles, they release a thicker sweat loaded with proteins, lipids, and steroids, which is basically a buffet for odor-causing bacteria. So during exercise, your core temperature rises and both systems turn on. And the more apocrine activity, the more raw material bacteria get to chew on. That's why HIIT or strength training, which spikes hormones and body temperature fast, can make you smell stronger than steady cardio. 50 different people smell different after exercise because our skin microbiomes are not identical. Some of us have more coronine bacterium or Staphylococcus hominum. Others have more neutral bacteria that don't produce as many smelly compounds. That's why one woman's sweat smells sharp and sour, and while another woman barely smells at all. And let's clear up a myth, okay? Exercise itself does not make bad bacteria multiply faster. What happens is that sweat provides the fuel, and if your skin is already imbalanced towards odor-causing species, you're gonna smell more. If your microbiome is diverse and balanced, you might barely notice anything. Now, fabrics, okay? So this one is huge, and not enough people talk about it. So studies testing sweat and bacteria in different textiles found that polyester and nylon trap moisture, which creates little anaerobic pockets where odor-causing bacteria thrive. Cotton breathes better, but it stays damp, which still lets bacteria grow. Wool, especially merino wool, naturally resists bacteria and wicks moisture, which is why hikers and athletes swear by it. Translation: your sports bra or leggings may be the real reason why you stink, not your body. So if you're constantly battling workout odor, check your fabrics first. Shower timing is another make or break factor. If you rinse off right after exercise, you're washing away sweat before bacteria really get going with it. So if you wait a couple hours, you have basically given them a head start to set up shop on your skin. So research shows that even lukewarm water removes surface level bacteria effectively without wrecking your skin barrier. Stress sweat is also worth mentioning here because it's often confused with workout odor. So the same apocrine glands that are activated during exercise are also wired to your sympathetic nervous system, your flight or fight response, okay? Stress sweat is actually more pungent than exercise sweat because it contains more proteins and more lipids for bacteria to break down. The friggin' landscapers! I'm being very unfair to the landscapers, okay? They're just doing their job. I'm just annoyed at the situation. All right, so that is why job interview sweat smells worse than spin class sweat. How do you control exercise odor? It's not about showering 5 times a day or drowning yourself in body spray. It's about smart strategies. Wear breathable or antibacterial fabrics, shower within 30 minutes after working out, and avoid harsh antibacterial soaps that wipe out your good skin bacteria. And yes, your diet matters, okay? Foods high in sulfur, garlic, onions, cruciferous veggies can add distinct smells to sweat that bacteria amplify. Spicy foods like chili peppers increase sweating and can change sweat pH slightly, which makes it more attractive to odor-producing microbes. And none of this means that you should avoid healthy foods, but if you notice patterns, you're gonna know why. The truth is that workout odor is not a sign of poor hygiene. It is body chemistry plus bacteria plus environment. If your gym clothes are synthetic, if you wait too long to shower, if your microbiome is tilted toward certain species, you're gonna stink faster. And that doesn't mean that you're dirty. It means that you need a smarter plan. Choose your fabrics wisely. Wash workout gear in hot water when possible. Don't reuse sweaty clothes. Shower as soon as you can after exercise. And if odor is still overpowering, consider using a pH balanced cleanser externally on your armpits and on your groin instead of harsh antibacterial soap. The bottom line is that exercise odor is predictable. It is preventable once you actually understand the science. It's not about sweat being gross. It's about bacteria loving the proteins and hormones in apocrine sweat. Control their food source, control the environment, and you will control the smell. Next time you're embarrassed leaving the gym, remember, your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, okay? You're sweating to cool yourself down. The smell isn't failure, it is chemistry. And chemistry can be managed. Let's get into the one most people never think about, digestive odor. This one doesn't come from your armpits or your skin. It starts in your gut, okay? Your digestive system is not just breaking down food, okay? It is also hosting trillions of bacteria that ferment, produce gases, and release metabolites. Most of these stay inside, but some compounds actually exit your body through your skin, your breath, or even your sweat. That's why gut imbalances, things like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, or chronic dysbiosis, don't just cause bloating or stomach issues, they can literally change your body odor. So people with SIBO often report musty or sour body odors because the bacteria are producing excess sulfur compounds that don't stay confined to the gut. The freaking landscapers again. Let's talk about sulfur foods for a second. Garlic, onions, broccoli, cabbage, eggs, these contain sulfur amino acids that gut bacteria metabolize into hydrogen sulfide and other compounds. So some get released as gas and others get into the bloodstream and out through sweat. That is why your sweat can smell different after a garlicky meal, like garlic bread or eating your mother-in-law's Dominican food. Same with dairy if you're lactose intolerant. So undigested lactose ferments in your gut, which creates byproducts that can be absorbed and released through breath and skin. And that is why some people notice a sour or even spoiled milk type body odor after eating cheese or ice cream. Protein metabolism matters too. So high protein diets can increase compounds like ammonia and putrescine. And these give off that sharp or foul scent when sweat mixes with them. This doesn't mean that protein is bad, but if your digestion is not handling it well, you're going to notice the smell before anyone else does. Histamine intolerance, that's another overlooked piece. So certain people can't break down histamine well, and high histamine foods like wine, aged cheese, and cured meats, they build up in the body. And that can lead to flushing, headaches, and unusual odors because histamine alters gut bacteria activity and skin responses. Antibiotics play a big role as well, but not in the way that people often say. They don't automatically make you smell bad for months. What they do is they wipe out good bacteria along with bad bacteria, which disrupts your gut balance. So that imbalance can shift how your body processes food and odors until your microbiome stabilizes again. Here's the kicker, the gut-skin axis is real, so research shows that gut bacteria can influence skin conditions like acne, eczema, and even how your sweat glands behave. If your gut is inflamed or if it's imbalanced, your skin becomes more prone to carrying odor-causing bacteria. If you are constantly dealing with body odor, no matter what deodorant, no matter what soap you're using, your gut might actually be the missing link. The problem though, it's not what's on your skin, it is what is inside your intestines feeding the wrong microbial activity. What fixes this? Okay, so first of all, pay attention to trigger foods. If garlic, onions, or dairy make you smell different, that is not your imagination. That is literally chemistry. Keep a log if you want. Test it and notice the patterns. It's not about restriction forever, but about understanding your body's reactions to certain foods. And second, fiber. So most of us don't get enough fiber, and it's literally the number one way to support healthy gut bacteria. A diverse, fiber-rich diet feeds beneficial microbes that crowd out the odor-promoting ones. The third one is probiotics. So there is solid evidence that specific strains like Lactobacillus rhamnosus or Bifidobacterium longum can actually rebalance gut flora after antibiotics or chronic digestive issues. They don't just help digestion, they influence what metabolites your body puts out, which means that they can improve how you smell. And hydration, okay? This sounds very basic, but water helps flush odor-causing byproducts through urine instead of letting them build up and seep out through your sweat and through your breath. If you're dehydrated, those compounds linger longer and make odor sharper and actually make odor stronger. So the bottom line here is this: if body odor feels like a constant uphill battle for you, if nothing external is fixing it, look inward. Your gut might be the real culprit here, okay? So balance the bacteria inside and the smell outside will usually improve as well. So it is not about scrubbing harder. It's not about buying more sprays. It's about addressing digestion, balancing your microbiome, and letting your body's chemistry work with you instead of against you. Okay, so we've covered the science, vaginal odor, body odor, period odor, exercise odor, digestive odor. Now let's put this all together into an actual action plan for you, okay? Because knowing why odor happens is literally only half the battle. The other half is fixing it. So for vaginal odor, the single most important thing is just protecting your lactobacillus bacteria. They are your natural defense system. So don't douche, don't use scented washes, don't over clean. External rinsing with plain water is fine, which I didn't know that, okay? If you keep knocking out the good bacteria, odor-causing species like Gardnerella will always take over. Probiotics can help too, and yes, the research backs this. So specific strains like Lactobacillus crispus or Lactobacillus rhinosus have been shown to reduce BV occurrence. They are not magic pills, but they do support the balance that your body needs. And for body odor, remember, sweat itself doesn't stink, okay? Bacteria make it stink. Deodorant masks odor, antiperspirant blocks sweat. Neither is toxic or detoxing you, okay? If you want to go aluminum free, expect an adjustment phase of a few weeks while your microbiome recalibrates. If you like antiperspirant, it's safe, it is effective, and there's nothing wrong with using it, okay? The real trick though is consistency, fabric choice, and not overwashing to the point that you wreck your skin barrier. And for period odor, it comes down to literal chemistry, okay? Blood raises pH and bacteria love that. If odor bothers you, switch products. Menstrual cups are associated with fewer odor complaints than tampons, and all products should be changed or emptied regularly. So if your period odor is consistently strong, fishy, or rotten, get tested for BV. That is a medical issue, not something to cover with scented pads. For exercise odor, the biggest game changers are fabrics and timing. Polyester traps stink, merino wool resists it. Shower as soon as possible after workouts, ideally within 30 minutes. To wash away sweat before bacteria, feast on it, and do not reuse sweaty clothes because odor compounds cling to fibers. For digestive odor, it's not about scrubbing harder, it is about what is happening inside your gut. Keep a food log if you notice odor changes after garlic or dairy. Eat more fiber to support a diverse gut microbiome. Stay hydrated so that byproducts leave through urine instead of sweat. And if you have chronic odor plus bloating or digestive distress, ask your doctor about SIBO or other gut imbalances. So here is the big picture, okay? Odor is not about being dirty. It's about ecosystems. The ecosystem in your vagina, on your skin, in your gut. When those systems are balanced, odor is not a problem. But when they are disrupted, that's when odor happens. And that's it. It is chemistry and it is biology. It is not shame. It is also not a $500 perfume. Okay, I love perfume, but that's not going to solve your scent problems. What the feminine hygiene industry does not want you to know is this, okay? Most of their sprays, wipes, and washes disrupt those ecosystems. They make the problem worse, so you will keep buying them. The real solutions are very boring compared to their marketing. Balanced bacteria, regular hygiene, smart product choices, but boring works, okay? Seriously, stop blaming yourself. You're not broken. You're not dirty. You're not defective. Once you understand the science, you're going to stop wasting money on products that literally sabotage you and start supporting your body the way that it is designed. Odor is not a character flaw. It is literally biology, and biology can be managed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.